I have been painting minis on and off since I was a kid. When Wizards of the Coast released their D&D and Star Wars minis, it was a period when I wasn't really painting much. While I thought the base painting on them, as they were pre-painted, was only okay, and could certainly be a lot better, they were still fun to get and were useful for any fantasy RPG. They still are. They were fun to collect casually. If you wanted some heroes and general beasties for your games, the actual miniature game, or just to collect. Initially, even the common, uncommon, rare, very rare format was okay, though I always thought it was one tier too many, and if it really came down to it, I didn't dig the tiers at all. I never really saw why they had to be various rarities, and if they did away with that, they could have still kept it random, but everything had the same odds, and people who wanted to collect full sets would have been able to do so easier. Now obviously for Wizards of the Coast this was a better short-term way of making money. While the excitement was there, people spent money, sometimes a staggering amount in proportion. If you were lucky you could trade, or buy some at okay prices on eBay, but in the rares and very rares there were always several that were insanely priced. It could take 3 to 4 cases to get a full set. This could be up to $400 to complete a mere 60-figure set. In the end, if you were an RPGer who wanted figs for your game, then spending $400 on Dark Sword, Reaper minis and so on would bring you a vastly more diverse collection, albeit unpainted. The sad part for me was I did actually like the figs. Both D&D and Star Wars had new characters and some cool imagination behind it. Just felt like greed got in the way. Now Wizards today is a shell of its former self. The D&D figs are now made by WizKids, and from some of their Pathfinder stuff I have seen in the past, I am not a fan. The iconic witch from them was woeful. But Wizards D&D 5th Ed seems to be a quality game and value for money, so that's cool. And they were a big part of the RP revival which has been going on, and so I do wish them well. And ultimately we are on the same team, just don't rip us off is all I'm saying. I recently found this figure, and I always liked the sculpt, so I decided to have a go at repainting her. I was concerned how paint would take to the plastic, as this line of figures was never designed to be painted in this way. The plastic might share some similarities with Reaper bones, as both can be fixed the same way. Because of that, I went with the Reaper paints, which are designed for the bones material. The paints went onto this Drow Sergent very well. Basically my process was to use a HD paint in the base colour of an area. Not too heavy, but enough that the layer of paint was there to allow follow-on coats to bite, and then I can come at it in my usual style. My version has a bit more colour on it than the original. The brown gloves, the metal has a purple tinge to it, though it doesn't show in the pics well. The hair was, I think, silver originally, and I went with blue and white. The skin, I did dark elf flesh. Overall, it took the paint very well and was quite a lot of fun to play around with. Please tell me that was good.